Now, let's look at 1 Thessalonians 4:13 through 15. But we do not want you to be informed, brethren, about those who are asleep. Their bodies are asleep, so that you will not grieve as the rest who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep. Now wait a minute. He's going to bring with him those who are asleep. So those who are asleep are already with him, right? Those asleep are with him. He's going to bring with him those who have fallen asleep. And then it goes on, for this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord, we will not precede those who have fallen asleep. And then it goes on and explains something that we refer to as the rapture of the church, many of us do. Now you must realize too that the majority, or I will say a lot, most of our forefathers for the first few centuries, they believed in the immortal soul. Socrates, Plato, Augustus, they all believed in the immortality of the soul. Really, this whole idea of soul sleep made a resurgence in about the 18th, 19th century, okay? But our forefathers didn't. But we were saying that whatever happened to Jesus is going to happen to us, pretty much. He's the first fruit. Look at 1 Peter 3:18 through 20. For Christ also died for sins once and for all, the just for the unjust, so that he might bring us to God. Now, why did Christ die? To bring us to God. We're supposed to be hooked up with God 24/7. He's talking to us, leading us, guiding us. He's back in our life. Having been put to death in the flesh, Jesus was made alive in the Spirit, in which also he went and made proclamation. This is an interesting word. It's kerusso. This word proclamation is not the word for evangelizing. It's not the word for sharing the gospel message. It's the word for making a proclamation of truth, kerusso. To the spirits, not to the people, but the spirits who are now in prison, phileuke, and that's a real prison with guards around it or whatever. It's a real picture of a prison, who were once disobedient. When? When the patience of God kept waiting in the days of Noah during the construction of the ark. So here we have something very interesting. Jesus, his body was laid in a tomb. It was asleep. He was made alive, and he went down to phileuke, where these spirits, and I'm going to suggest to you demon spirits were. And they were spirits that were unfaithful during the time of Noah. Now, what do we know about spirits being unfaithful during the time of Noah? Well, Genesis chapter 6. It says the sons of God, and when you look at the sons of God in Job or Psalms, it's always angels. The sons of God saw the women of the earth, saw they were beautiful, lusted after them, went in and had sexual relations with them, and they had babies, and some of these kids were called the Nephilim. You say, how does that happen? Well, we know for sure that there are a certain amount of angels who have the power to transform over into this realm. In the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, we saw these angels there, and they must have been pretty good-looking guys because the men in the city wanted to have sex with them. So they look like men. We know that Abraham spoke with angels, and they came by, and I don't know if he always knew they were even angels, which goes to Hebrews in the New Testament, where it says some of you have entertained angels, not even been aware of it. So if you read that the way most of us read that, it also could mean that demons actually got into bodies and possessed people and had sexual relations. That could also be true. But I think Peter and Jude even reflects more on this. Look at 2 Peter 2, 4, and 5. It says, for if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to pits of darkness reserved for judgment, and did not spare the ancient world, but preserved Noah, a preacher of righteousness, with 7 others. So here Peter reaches back to the story of Noah and some demons that were coming out of their proper domain in the time of Noah, and he has them in phileuke, prison, so this kind of really matches up, doesn't it? Now look at Jude, verse 6. And angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper mode, he has kept in eternal bonds under darkness for the judgment of the great day. So Jesus, his body was laid in the tomb and was asleep. He was alive. You say, what did he do? I can't tell you for sure, but I can put 2 and 2 together, and I can imagine probably what happened. See, the devil from day one tried to destroy the Messiah, even through genocide. Because he was there, he heard when that proclamation was made in Genesis to Adam and Eve that God would send a Messiah to crush the head of the devil. And he knew that. So that's why he tried genocide in the book of Esther, tried to get the Jews annihilated. In other places, he tried to get them all wiped out. He tried to get the babies killed, remember, Herod. He's trying to wipe the Messiah out. He did not want Messiah to be here because he knew it meant his doom. And so when Messiah finally did show up and the devil said, this is him, what did he do? He took him out in the wilderness and tried to get him to abort his mission. Didn't want him to do it. And that didn't work. Then the devil got him crucified. And he thought, ta-da! Woo! Man, don't you know there was a party in hell when Jesus hung on that cross and breathed his last breath? They were excited. They were probably down in hell eating devil food eggs, and they were stomping on angel food cake, and they were playing hell's bells and dancing to it, and they were partying hard. We killed the Messiah. We killed the Messiah. Woo! We killed the Messiah. He's dead. Da, 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 da. And all of a sudden, creak, the door opens and here comes Jesus walking into hell. Right. Can you imagine? He walks right up. I don't know what he said. He said he made a proclamation. And he might have said, hand the keys of the kingdom over. Right. Hand the keys to hell and to death. Hand them over. Because you thought you killed me, but I'm back. Right. And you know what? I don't know what he did. But he made a proclamation, and he priced, I just want to tell you now that I'm giving the keys to the kingdom to my children. I've given them authority over your kingdom, and whatever they bind on earth will be bound in heaven. And I'm telling you now, my kids have the authority, and you will obey them or you'll answer to me. Yes. Whoa, can you imagine?